So now that we're kind of in the space now with the crypto and NFTs, um, is that something that you're looking to explore in the future as far as digital signage goes and original digital creations? Are you looking to kind of get into the space of NFTs?
That stuff blows my mind. I mean, just it's such a free form of thought. It's like building a house without a foundation. I mean, what am I floating on?
Yeah.
And how do I keep it standing? So I mean, absolutely, we have to keep growing. Either you grow or you die. There's no just staying where you are. Either you grow or you die. But what the future of sign holds. I've had conversations with people. Will people be buying virtual signs in the metaverse? Some celebrities having an event that you can only get through your goggles, and we're actually going to sell sign space that's not really there. I mean, so it absolutely is important that it happens. How it gets funneled down, we'll see. We'll see.
So now let's kind of jump into COVID. So COVID took place. Every brick and mortar store definitely took a hit. So how did you sustain? How was life as FASTSIGNS DC when COVID came around?
Well, here's what I thought was going to happen. One, no one ever thought the United States was going to get crippled by anything, but we did. And it was, I can't even remember how I felt. I mean, it was like, oh, this ain't happening. Oh, what's going on? I really think it was here way before it was here, because it was a time in November when everybody in here was sick from something and no one knew what it was. But it was like someone turned the light switch off. We were on one day and it was like, we're not coming in tomorrow, and off the next. And what I really thought was going to happen was, okay, we're putting the world on pause, and great, I get a vacation. I get to go home, and hey, I wasn't even thinking like I'm just going to chill. I'm thinking like now all those projects and plans and things that I wanted to implement that I haven't had time to do, I'm going to focus on them. So when we come back, we'll be bigger and better. We never stopped. So we did, all my, talk about the world day. If you say something I was glad about COVID, some good things came out of it. Unfortunately, it happened, but some good things came out of it. I mean, if this had happened in the 90s, we would have been devastated. If this had happened when we opened in 2007, we probably would have not been able to deal with it. But because it happened in 2020, 21, it was possible. We had already put in place, not thinking about that, but I mean, we have digital phones. So we don't have regular phones anymore. You take that phone off the desk, you plug it into the internet anywhere, it works just like it works here. I can buzz somebody, it rings, it'll ring in your house, it'll ring, and the phones, I can put them on the computer. I don't even need that phone. I can send it to my cell phone. If I'm out and about, my cell phone, they'll intercom me on my cell phone just like I'm in the office. So that was already in place. We have inter-office text. So we talk back and forth because it's more important. No one ever remembers what you say, but you got to be accountable to what someone wrote and you read. So we have inter-office text, so that we were able to communicate from house to house to house. Everybody had internet at home. The people that needed computers, we got laptops for, and the programs we used. So they were answering the phone. Our point of sale system is online. They were in the point of sale system. The graphic artists were logging into the computers here and pulling the files up here. And if you were sitting here, you could see them working.
Oh, wow.
Just like they were here, through their computers at home. The only thing we couldn't do was production and installation. And that was the part that actually was down a little bit. And we could figure out how to condense it into, hey, production's going to come in for 2 days and work and knock all this stuff out. And then you're going to go back home until we got more stuff to do. And then installation is going to come in and install it for a day or two. And that's how we operated for, all the way into the summer.
Has, with the pandemic, just you yourself, has it kind of reshaped the way you think, as far as how you approach business as a whole? Because I would say for me, I didn't have a major impact, but it kind of had me thinking for the future, kind of being a little more prepared. I was prepared, but it made me think even ahead, like I got to be even more prepared in case something like this happens again.
Well, I think I was overstaffed. So
Okay.
I was the kind of person I would staff for the growth I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pull this staff in and I'm going to grow to the level where, what comes first. And so I was a little overstaffed.
Okay.
And we really had to tighten up when COVID hit, and we learned to operate with a lot, with probably we cut like 1/3.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned to operate that day. It was definitely harder. But it was more efficient in some ways. Less mistakes happened because there was less hands in the pot. And it's something that we've tried to keep the staff tight. And it's something I realized. And it's just for business owners, you got to realize this is sometimes you get more staff. That doesn't mean they do more work.
Mm-hmm.
That means they take the existing work and they share it. So you kind of got to look at it that, okay, if I only had one person, they would have got that done. Now I got two people, they're getting the same amount of work done. It's not like they're getting double the amount of work done. So, and, depending on your staff, sometimes you could just have hands to help, but that doesn't mean they're great hands. And again, like I said, a lot less mistakes happen once we reduce staff. So we learned that, and I never stopped working. I was here the whole time, sometimes by myself. I was the person that was here when you need to come pick up your sign. That was me. So we learned how to communicate better with our clients. So we learned how to tighten up them and us. At first it was, just go over there. I was sitting there waiting on you. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. We're going to have pickup times between this time and this time and this time. Because I still had to get other work done. So it was like all day me running to the door. So we just learned to work better with our clients and to figure out how, again, still give them what they wanted, but say, hey, here's how we have to operate now. Supplies, looking at our pricing didn't really go up during COVID, but afterwards it skyrocketed. I mean, it was hard to get stuff. People were trying to make up for lost time. Mm-hmm. So to pay more attention to that, to keep our pricing, I had customers come in and very rarely, but I've had the customers come in and say, why is this so much more than the last time I got it? And this was before COVID. And I go, when was the last time you got something? And it was like 6-7 years ago. And I'm like, dude, come on, prices go up, so, and labor goes up. So, you have to pay for that. Mm-hmm. And we have to pass that on. I mean, there's no way we can eat the cost of that. That's the cost of doing business. And that always ends up with the client. I mean, that always ends up with, because everybody's paying it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can be as fair as possible, but, you tell them this is what it's going to cost to do this service. So we learned how to communicate that a little better.
So how, post-pandemic, with so many people leaving their jobs, how has it been difficult for you to retain your current employees and also bring on new talent?
I've been lucky. I think we've retained most of our employees. It's been hard getting new talent though. Okay. So I think we're at the point where we want to grow. Well, we're going to grow either way, but we're at the point where we need some other hands to grow. And again, we're being very selective about that. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. I mean, people have a different mentality of life, and it's not necessarily the mentality my father beat into my head, and so it's hard for me to understand it. But I mean, if that's I don't want to belittle it, but I mean, to me, I got to work. Mm-hmm. I got to be able to provide for my family and my lifestyle. And some people are making the decision, and it's interesting to see it is that I got to work, but I don't have to work somewhere I have to go into every day. Yeah. I can get a little less money if I can stay at home. Mm-hmm. And, maybe the dynamic changes from, hey, that person was here on time, they left on time. I'm not quite sure what they did in the middle, to, that person is at home and they got the project done. I don't know if it took them 2 hours, if it took it 8 hours, but they got, what I needed them to get done, they got done. Right. So I think that's how the dynamic's going to change. And I don't know how that's going to work for me, because half of my staff could do that, And they did a pretty good job when they were at home. And but half of my staff cannot. There's no way they can function outside of this building and still get stuff done. So, we have to figure that out for this business. But I think for a lot of businesses, it's going to change. And, I want people to be careful as well because, the government grants and subsidies are probably going to, if they haven't already, dry up. And you're going to have to figure out how to care for yourself and your family. And I think the great example of that is years ago, no one thought kiosks would work at McDonald's. And it has changed. Every McDonald's I've gone to has changed. There is no longer 20 foot of counter. There's like 5 foot of counter and 1 register and 4 kiosks. And those are people's jobs.
Even Amazon, they got the robots in Amazon working, and automation's everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, me and Anton were talking about that before, where we were saying that it's like if you're in a particular position now, you don't have some type of marketable skill, you might be on the chopping block in the future.
Well, it depends on the marketable skill. You look at Amazon, it has shifted. So they don't necessarily need the people to pull the stuff off the shelf.
Right.
I heard that's a hard job. But they need the people to drive the stuff to your house.
For now.
So for now. And again, do we get to the point where the car is driving itself? But how does it get to your door? Do you have to go out and get it, or soon there'll be a little bot just going to bring it up the steps? I don't know.
Right.
So for now, but and we talk about stuff like people talk about political things like coal, natural gas, energy, and you go, it's kind of deadly. But solar, can we repurpose people to? We don't want you to dig the coal up anymore, but we need you to put the solar panels on.
Right.
So people have to be ready to pivot. I mean, that's what we did in the pandemic. We pivoted. The word pivot used to be a bad word. Now everybody's like, yeah, you got to know how to pivot.
Yep.
And they're absolutely right. We pivoted a lot in the pandemic from this type of work to that type of work. No one was making sneeze guards and all that stuff. And the signage industry was eating it up. They were like, oh, I got that material and I just need to cut it and put a foot on it. And, it was expensive, because it wasn't what we did and we weren't like tooled for that. But at the beginning, everybody was like, I don't care what it costs. I want a sneeze guard. And in the end, the big boys figured out how to make it a lot cheaper. But for a while there, that sustained the business. Sneeze guards, signs on the floor that said stand every 6 feet apart, stuff we never did before, but that was the bulk of our work during the pandemic. You got to know how to pivot and, how to say yes to something that you need to get done.
What's next for Fast Signs DC? Where's the vision? Where do you want to go in the next couple of years? Well,
we got lucky. We got this spot. So our first spot, when we talked earlier about it, our first spot was about 2,000 square feet. We rented another spot next to it. We rose to about 3,000. When we finally had to move because we were busting at the seams, I grew out as big as I could. We had stuff going all the way up to the ceiling. It was amazing the way we packed stuff in there and got around. And we got lucky and moved to this space that's 10,000 square feet, and we've started filling it with different machinery and capabilities that we couldn't do as well before. And we can get stuff through a lot faster. The quality is a lot better. So it's always about growing and figuring out what the next niche is or what the next tool is to make us better at what we do. I think we have a lot of bandwidth here, though. I mean, we have room to grow. We can double our business, maybe even triple in this same facility, no problem. So we're just looking at ways to figure out how to grow that business. We got the space for it. We have the machinery for it. If there's something else we need to get, we have all the toys. I think we have all the toys. But we can always upgrade to it, something new. I really am interested in, and I've been working with the corporate office on training people in this industry. So we talked earlier about, did I plan on doing signs? No one plans on doing signs. You don't go to school for signage or signology. So, but we were looking at some ways to help, especially with diversity in the community, about training people in this industry. because it's a very good industry. I have some other franchise owners that came up. They started working at the front counter. They learned every part of the industry, and then they ended up buying their own store, and doing it. And it's that possible. I mean, there's a lot to learn. There's not a lot of people that know how to do it, and it's not rocket science. It's something that's just capable of doing it. You know, it's not like brain surgery where I could kill somebody.
Yeah.
You know, if I make a mistake, it's not that devastating. So we're trying to look at ways to get and to help with our employment issue is to get people trained up specifically in this industry and learn how to work it from the front to the back.
I think that's an amazing idea because there's another local company in DC that does the same exact thing, but for IT. So they'll take people who are at a certain age group, that's at a certain salary, and they are local DC residents, and say, hey, we're going to teach you how to build a computer, fix a computer, free of charge. This is free. And you end up working for us, or we'll get you a job. So I think it's a good cycle because the company gets a benefit, you know, they get a work out of it, but the employee also gets a benefit because they learn a new skill set. So I think that would be amazing if you can get that going over here.
That's one of the things I've seen that people are holding back on the idea as we're working through it. They're like, but we train these people up and they go work for our competitors. So I'm like, who cares? It's like they're working, but where did they come from? You know, they came from FASTSIGNS. You know, it's always going to be that. So you got to look at it that way. And I think if the industry gets better innately, we get better as a result of it.
So would you also say that's your way of kind of giving back to the community as well, as far as training up some of the locals that are from here?
Well, I was a teacher for 17 years. So, I mean, I think that came from that. It's always teaching people how to do things and grow. Even, you know, what we do now, we have robust training program here where I want you to learn absolutely everything you can about this business and be an expert. That's a benefit to me. But it's also an issue because you can take that and go, you know, your competitor down the street told me, you know, I could do all this. He's going to pay me $10 an hour more. Good luck. You know, if I could match it, I probably would have already done that. But, you know, so it's always a case. But I mean, I don't think you do go wrong when you grow people. I mean, I think that's our business is to grow people.
Okay. Do you also have any relationship with the smaller print shops, like a business to business type of relationships? I know you said that whatever project comes in here, you'll figure it out.
Yep.
But are there any times where maybe you have to send a client maybe to get certain things done at a smaller shop? Maybe that you don't necessarily, or maybe it's such a small project to where it's not worth you dedicating your man hours and your staff to that project.
I think just the natural evolution, we've gotten to that in some aspects. I mean, the only project I could think, you know, a lot of times it's going to depend on it. We're going to probably figure it out for you.
Okay.
Or try to figure it out for you. Now, we're not going to rake you in the process. Our price may not be as cheap if you wanted to go down, you know, to the local small shop down the corner, but you know, if you're asking us to do a service, we're telling you what it's going to cost us. There's been some jobs where I've jobbed out. I'm trying to think. Usually they job up to us, so we work with a lot of smaller shops because they're going, I don't have that capability that you have. Can you work for me, and we work together on this, or wholesale it to me, and we have those relationships. But it's gone back the other way as well. I mean, there was one shop that specialized in making buttons, and you had to have a specific machine, and the customer wanted all these buttons, and I was like, we can't do that. And it's the only time in 17 years someone's asked me for a button. So, you know, that may have been when we have referred them to somewhere else or figured it out.
Okay.
T-shirts, we talked about that earlier. It's not really what we do. So sometimes in that case, we'll have partners. And again, the T-shirt place will send us customers, and we'll send them customers as well.
Have you ever had to collaborate with another FASTSIGNS due to the project just being so enormous that you have to tag team it?
All the time. So a lot of times, like I said, they'll be in Oregon, but they have an office here. They'll call us to install something here, and we had a client that was a major, I can't say the name, but they were, and for a long time, I didn't even know what they did. They wouldn't even want to ask. They were a government contractor. That's all we could say.
Gotcha.
You know, I will say, one of my installers saw a missile at one of their sites, but he thought it was a missile. But they changed names like 3 times all over the country. And every last one of those, every sign that had their name on it, from every room to on the walls, the cars, to on the buildings, had to change. And all those signs were made here.
Wow.
And that was probably a story I should have told. We just did one sign for them in a local office here, and we totally screwed it up. And I think we totally screwed it up twice, and had to go back the 3rd time before we got it right. And they were just so impressed that we were not going to let it go. We were going to figure it out and get it exactly how they wanted it. And we worked with them a little more on some small projects. And they were like, hey, we're changing our name because it's something you could do. And it's all, it's 50, 75 locations across the country that you got to coordinate with. Some things you got to pull permits, you got to do site surveys. And we were like, I was like, yeah, that ain't a problem, I was like, in my, like, oh, yeah. So, and we figured it out. And the second time was much easier.
Okay.
And they changed one letter. It was,
Wow.
but we had to change all the signs. But then the 3rd time, it was even easier, But, it's something we learned how to do, and we learned and coordinated, and we worked with other sign companies, mostly Fast Signs. If there was a Fast Signs there, I mean, just because it's family, I tried to keep it in the family. But there were some places there was not a Fast Signs, and we worked with some local sign companies, and we figured out a way to, get everything surveyed, get everything built, shipped out, and then installed in every one of those locations.
Okay. So what's some advice you would give to somebody who wants to jump into the business, from going from like a W-2 9 to 5 to being on their own owner? What advice would you give them?
I don't necessarily say it's something you have to love to do. It doesn't hurt. I mean, my first career was something I loved to do. It was my thing. Signage is a career that I love, but I don't know if it was, again, I didn't grow up going, oh, I want to make that sign, so it was, but I think it's something you have to have interest in. You have to have a capacity to understand it and to do it, and go talk to people that are doing it. Understand what the hustle is before you get into it. I mean, so many people, if I look back at what I thought this was going to be, I was wrong. I mean, it was nothing like, I thought I was going to be on the computer designing stuff all day. I'm never on the computer, not designing, and I'd be in the shop making banners. It is not that, it is so different from what I thought it would be. I was worried about being a salesperson because no one likes a salesperson, but it's easy to be a salesperson when you got something that people come to you because they need. And that's the only time they ever come to you is because they need it. So talk. I mean, that's what helped me, was going and talking to people that were in the business, and not just one person, not just 2 people, as many as you can find, and finding out if this thing is for you. Whether it's something you want to do, whether it's something you have a propensity to do. I think that's the biggest thing. And then once you get into it, put it all in, especially early on when you got the energy. Put it all in, go all in. Get everything set up as best you can. Don't stop. Read the books, figure it out, grow, understand, learn. It's work. Is work, but you got to put it in, and then find people that are going to help you grow. So, I mean, generally I'm talking about employees. So, I mean, you got to find the ones, how you going to help me grow, and again, I'm going to absolutely pay you for this service, but this is a give take and a take give, You're here to help me grow because I want to help you grow. And when it's not working, understand that it's not working, and realize, however you got to couch it for yourself, but, maybe that person will be better somewhere else. Maybe they'll be happier somewhere else because it's not working here. and we're not growing. And if we don't grow, eventually we all die. I got to think about that when I'm thinking about the 13 staff members we have now. Is if there's one bad staff member in there, that how does that affect the team? How does that affect the family? And the business is a family, but it's a little different. It's a family where some people leave and new people come in, and some people are asked to go. And that's not too different from a regular family, except, you wait a little longer in a regular family, tell somebody to leave and never come back. But, in a business, it has to be, this is exchange. It's commerce. It's, we are absolutely here to do better this year than we did last year, and to keep it growing. And, I've had people go, you're just about the money. And I'm going, absolutely.
That's why you run a business.
That's why we all here. We're trading our time for money so we can have better quality time.
Right.
And that's what it's all about.
Well, switching gears that you brought up about quality time, how do you balance work and family? By owning a business, like you said, you don't get to just punch out at 5. Sometimes you're taking your work home with you. What is your formula for success as far as balancing work and family life?
I'm still working on it.
Still working on it?
I mean, it's a hard process. I mean, it depends on you. I mean, and it's different for everybody, but you have to realize you have to put that in there. And, there was absolutely a time when I started the business, we had just had twins, which was, woo. But, I always think of it, I had triplets because I started the business at the same time. So I had to take care of the triplets. I had to take care of them and the business at the same time because they all needed that level of attention. And it's a give or take. I mean, you got to decide for you what that give or take is. I guess for me, it was, I'm a worker. I mean, that's what my father pressed me to be. And I absolutely have to go out and come home and put food on the table. I can't see it any other way.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a chance early on before I thought of starting this business that I could have been a stay-at-home dad, and nothing against stay-at-home dads. I'm just not built that way. I'd have been home with 3 businesses running out the house. So sometimes I look back and go, maybe I should have tried. but I'm just not built that way. So you got to see how you're built. And then, but you absolutely have to pour time and attention. Those kids grow up fast. You got to pour time and attention into them. And, does that mean I bring them to work? I've absolutely brought the kids to work. They hate coming here, because I'm going to put them to work when they come here. They got to work. And, or do I punch out in the middle of the day so I can go to a game? That carries a lot of weight with your kids, even if you got to come back and put that time in later on at night once they're down to sleep, or work at home, because we can do that now, right? Or work at home and do that. But you got to put in the time, energy, and effort, and you got to do what's, you own a business. It's what's best for my customers, what's best for my employees, because you got to pay attention to them before it comes back to you. So if my customers, luckily they don't, but if my customers wanted me to be open on Saturday, I need to be open on Saturday. If they wanted me to be open to 8:30 at night, then I need, the majority of them want that, then that's what I have to do. It's not about whether I want to be open at 8:30 at night. It's whether, what the market dictates.
Okay. So also talk about how important it is having a spouse that is very supportive of your business endeavor. Because I can say from my experience before, my now wife can see what I was doing turned into a reality. She was already 100% on board. And I think a lot of people don't think about that before they go into different business ventures, as far as making sure that they have that spouse that's actually going to be supportive of them, aspiring and building that business.
I'm looking back, I'm going to laugh. My spouse knows me. And I believe she trusts me, and she understands that I'm not going to lose. but she never knows which direction the ride's going in. So she's
just along for the ride.
So I won't say she's along for the ride. She's gonna make sure that I like, okay, let's talk about why, well, you know, let me understand where you're going with this. But she probably never saw this being where I ended up. But she was very supportive of it because I came to her with a plan. I came to her with a why. I came, you know, so it was very, you know, yeah, I mean, it was, hey, I got this idea. But then I backed it up.
Okay. Right.
So I think that made her buy into it a little more. And I'm sure she was like, oh, good God, what are we doing? You know, what are we doing now? Just had 2 kids. Now we're going to open a business and you know, quit your job, you know. Okay, but I get the plan. I get it. So great, let's try it.
Yeah. And you say if it don't work out, hey, you always gone back to whatever you was doing before.
You know, and I don't know if everybody can do this. I'm gonna get a job. I can get a job. I could shut this place down today, and I can have a job tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the way I work. I mean, it may be a little bragging, but I mean, I know I'm gonna go out there, and right now it's a whole bunch of jobs. I mean, you know, I'm gonna go out there, and someone's gonna be, you gonna come to work? Yeah, I'll be here every day.
So we really got to know you as a business owner. What do you do outside of FASTSIGNS just to unwind? How do you relax? What do you do?
I need to figure that out. I mean, I used to do a lot more, but again, even when I was in theater, I mean, that was a lot of my time. I used to be in the music a lot. But again, a lot of stuff was still related back to what I was doing. I was doing sound design, so yeah, I had a great music collection to pull from. I used to love to go to the record store. You can't do that anymore.
They still got record stores around.
It's not the same. Not the same as Tower Records.
Oh, okay.
You know, where you could discover stuff. But I need to work on that. I mean, I spend a lot of time working, and then I spend a lot of time doing mindless activities. You know, like Facebook or TikTok, because I just need my mind to feel like my mind needs to feel like it's doing something, but actually not expending too much energy.
Yeah.
You know, so it can just be swiping or moving around or seeing what's there. It's probably the biggest waste of time ever, but it gives my, and again, if my mind's not moving, it's like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So I had to have something to fill it, but it's not like urgent work.
Yeah.
Just filling it.
So are you one of those individuals where you'll take some time off for yourself? Let's say you're going to go on vacation to Costa Rica, but you're so used to your mind just constantly working where you're on vacation and you're even thinking of ideas and you can't turn it off. Like you just can't, you're able to enjoy the vacation, but then there's a part of you that's like, oh, this idea just popped in my head. Like, because I have that problem.
I'm getting better at that.
You're getting better at
but
that.
It's still, I mean, it is what it is, you know, so my wife's really good at telling me I'm going to go on vacation. And it's not as hard to tell as it used to be. I mean, she used to drag me. Yeah. And you know, she'd be like, yeah, we're going on this 2-week cruise. 2 weeks? Oh, hell no. I can't go for 2 weeks.
Too much work on the plate.
Is there an internet connection on there? You know, so that would be it. So absolutely. There was a time early on when I would go on vacation and I was probably working 70% of the time on vacation. Now it's probably 20.
Okay. Kids are running on the beach and you got a laptop in your lap.
No, I'm not going to do that. But not on the beach. But, you know, I'm going to go back and check email and do that stuff and see what's going on. I mean, we went to China. So we were one time for 2 weeks and we were 12 hours behind. I knew exactly what time I could call. So it was the end of the day here, the beginning of my day. You know, I knew the times that I can call and get everything, you know, check in and see what was going on and log in and check and see what they were doing. And I'm a systems freak. So, I mean, everything that they do here, I can pretty much log into from anywhere in the world and see and talk about. But like I said, I've gotten better at it. So, you know, I got to be present on vacation as well, you know, for the family and for what they're doing. So, you know, I've gotten absolutely better at that. And my staff has allowed me to get better at that as they've grown and gotten better. there was a time when I was like, there's no way this thing can operate without me here. Now I'm like, y'all got it.
Yeah.
Go on, go on. And usually if I'm not here, they step up. So, I go, oh, y'all gonna step up. Oh, I'm not coming in tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, so going back to some more personal stuff, you mentioned you love to collect vinyl. So what's in your current, like your vinyl collection?
It's not fun anymore.
No, but what's in your
I mean, now it's so hard to have a vinyl collection. Before, I probably had 3. But when I stopped, well, I ain't bought them.
It's starting to come back though.
I probably had about 3,000 albums, and it was everything you could fathom.
Do you still have those 3,000 albums?
Yes.
Wow.
And I have more digitized too.
Wow.
But
what's your holy grail in that collection? He's like that one that stands out to you.
Yeah. Or your top 5, whichever.
I don't know if I could pare it down that much. It depends on the day. It depends on the day. I would probably say when I was working back at Arena Stage, and I only worked there for about a year and a half, someone turned me on to blues. And that's my music right there. But I mean, if you look at my collection, like I said, from theater, opera, everything is in. Anything that I can find the beat in is in there, and I can find the beat in just about anything. So it's all in there. But today it's so hard because you don't get albums. You don't even get tracks. You get sound bites. You don't get even the dances. You get a 8-count dance. And just like everybody doing this 8 counts. That's it. You get and it's a TikTok thing. I mean, you get a clip. And that's all you gonna get is a clip.
That short attention span.
Right. There you go. That's a hot track. What's the rest of the album sound like? Album ain't no album.
Hot garbage.
Right.
So if we look in your vehicle right now, what are you listening to?
The radio.
Talk radio or music?
It changes. Sometimes it's talk radio. Sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's nothing because that's just the time for my head to clear from here to the way home. Sometimes one day it ended up on Christian talk radio, and I was like, okay, this is a oddly weird perspective, but I'm going to sit here and try to understand it. I don't, but I'm going to, so it could be anything, just anything to fill my head up.
Are you into like audio podcasts, things like that?
I used to be into a lot of business, as the business started, you just try to swallow all that stuff up. And there's probably some out there I should still be listening to, but at a certain point in time, you're just going, okay, overload. It's on at work. It's on here. So I think in the beginning, it's absolutely important to try to find, what works for you in that area. But eventually, it'll probably ease its way back to, what's going on. And then, I feel old, but it's so hard to tell what the truth is nowadays. It's everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got proof, or some kind of reason why they think this is true, and then you can go over here and hear the same thing on the exact opposite side. You're going paralysis. I don't know. I don't know which one is true.
Right.
So being the DC resident, what's a spot to go to and eat that you would approve of?
Does it have to be in DC?
Has to be in DC.
Yeah.
It has to be.
We're in DC right now, so you got to.
And please do not say Ben's Chili Bowl.
It always comes back to places I've probably done signs for. There's a place uptown near Roosevelt called Peaches.
Okay.
Serves Caribbean food. It is good food.
They have good curry goat.
Slow as hell. She gonna make it while you're there. and I'm talking about from slaughtering the goat.
Oh yeah, out back.
You're gonna be there a while. I'm joking, but it's really good food. But you can't be in a hurry.
She makes it with love, huh?
Yeah, Peaches can be a little rough too, but it's made with some love. But you get she gonna do it her way. She can tell you to sit down and shut up.
Yeah,
you can be like, okay, Miss Peaches, I'm gonna wait for that. I'm gonna wait for that beef patty. So that's good. I mean, you messed me up because you said DC. I don't know. Trying to think of the spots.
So if you did step outside Maryland, what would be that?
Now I gotta do this spot. This spot is just I'm trying to think of it. It's a little diner that opened up right by the post office on Brentwood Road, M&G. And there's an auto auction there.
Okay.
And the guy that owned the auto auction owned the whole building. Used to be a liquor store in the back end, and they moved out, and he opened MGM. That's what it's called, MGM. I think because I'm there like 3 times a week, and he opened a little, like, sell sandwiches, roast beef sandwiches and whatnot. And MGM stands for Mike's Good Meat.
Okay.
And his sons run it now. Interesting story. I think one of them came back from school as an engineer and couldn't find work. So, I mean, they're making great careers off of running that spot. It's high quality food and it's good. And I go there for breakfast probably about 3 times a week. They should have. I'm like Norm. I walk in and they're like, "Hey, what's going? What's going on?" So I go sit at the counter. That's a great place for breakfast. But food any time of day, if you want a real sandwich, that's the place to go. Fresh, great meat.
And we'll give you one more, and you can step outside DC. What would it be?
I gotta take 2. So one is what's the crab cake spot in Atlanta? You asked me names. That's why I'm forgetting them. Jerry's.
Okay, I know they had one in Atlanta. I know they had one in Bowie too.
Bowie, you started in Atlanta. So the first time I went, I'm like, where the hell are we at? Yeah, just the seafood place. And to me, that's absolutely the best crab cake I've ever had in the world.
Okay.
And people will fight about that, but I'm going, y'all wrong. So Jerry's is, and everybody knows Jerry's, but Jerry's is the best crab cake I've ever had. And then the Kensington Sub Shop has a steak and cheese.
Kensington Sub Shop.
Yeah, it's a little sub shop, all cash. But you go in and you order a steak and cheese in there, and you get 2 hoagies this size.
Wow.
And that's one steak and cheese. I don't know how they figured 2 hoagies is one steak and cheese, but and the fries are good, and they serve pizza and all that other stuff in there. And we never get it. We just, let's try something different. Okay, give me the steak and cheese.
You stick with what you know. Yeah.
Right. So what is some of your favorite television shows, movies, things like that you like to kind of kick back? Yeah, you kind of like to unwind to any TV series.
I've been really, I'm about to cut cable off because I'm paying for something I never watched. But streaming services, I do a little Netflix, and they occasionally have a show. It's so few and far between, though. I get a little frustrated. But there've been a couple shows on there that, and I know we talked about before, like Hell on Wheels. I mean, it's Ozark. When I find a good binge series that I can sit down and go, "Ooh, I know what I'm doing this weekend. I'm gonna watch this whole thing."
Yep.
And then and part of my mindless time is YouTube. I love YouTube because I put in something and I'll start here and then 2 hours later I'm going, how the hell?
You're in a rabbit hole.
How did I get on this?
Yeah.
And my kids are walking and going, "What are you looking at?" I don't even know how I got here.
So you working at Duke Ellington, did you have any instruments that you played yourself or found fond of?
In high school, I played clarinet and saxophone.
Okay.
And one of the biggest regrets of my life is when I went to college. Well, I went to Hampton for a year, and I marched in the band there, and I played saxophone there. Then I transferred to Towson, and I never picked up an instrument after that. And that's one of the biggest regrets of my life. I think playing an instrument is a great thing for a child to do. I couldn't force my kids to do it. I tried. It causes another part of the brain to work. And I was upset that I sat it down. But I've been playing a little bit lately. I picked up the guitar, so I'm by no means good. But if you come to the house, there are instruments all over the house. I mean, if you want to eat trumpet, sax, trombone, I don't know where they came from. Probably because of me doing props for shows, but they're all over the house. So can I play them? I can play everything enough to make it sound bad.
Okay.
I definitely. One day I did put the sax back together and I tried to play it, and that was not a good thing. It's not something, I don't know about some, but saxophone is not one instrument you could pick right back up after years of not doing it and be good at it again.
Were the girls around when you were playing?
they'll come in now, like when they see me playing the guitar, I play harmonica a little bit because I'm into the blues. But they'll come in and look at me and then immediately walk right back out the room.
Wow. Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to use your services, how can they go about finding your location or your website or calling you?
Well, I mean, today, you gotta be connected on Google. So, I mean, you go to our website, which is FASTSIGNS.com/494. But are you Googleable? If you want Fast Signs of DC, you Google it, I'm gonna pop up. You type in Fast Signs and you're in my area, I'm gonna pop up. So I mean, that's the way of business nowadays. That's the yellow pages. That's how everybody, we have customers. We talk about retaining customers, which is the hard part about retaining customers is just laziness. People know that they dealt with you last time, but they'll go, I don't know what his number is. I'm there, signs, and they go. Hopefully they get you.
Right.
Right. So that's the way, and we spend a lot of money to be in Google, and it's unlike the yellow pages. It's absolutely worth it. I look at the money I spend on Google every month, and it comes back 2, 3, 4, 5-fold. At the end of the day.
All right.
Anything else you want to add?
I'm done. I'm good.
Okay,
Any last remarks from you or
shout outs? Thank y'all. This has been great. It's really easy to talk to you guys, and I enjoyed the format.
Hopefully, when we need a sign, we can get one for a discounted rate, right?
You black folk always want discounts. The family discount, And I tell people, because I was in the arts, everybody used to always, artists really had it hard. Everybody wanted them. Can you come sing at my wedding? Can you do it? There's gonna be a lot of exposure.
It still happens to me to this day.
And people do the same thing with me. They're like, can you? We'll let you put your name on the bottom of the sign. And everybody's gonna be at this event, and I'm like, no, ain't nobody gonna be there. Nobody. Ooh, who did the sign?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, we budget to give back to the community because we definitely want to give back to our community, but we're very what's the word I'm looking for? Specific about it and intentional about it. It's not just everybody that walks in the door. Because it's a business, and just like I respect your business, and then I go to people and I say, hey, can you do this for me? What's it gonna cost? And I have a budget in mind, and you go, you working on the budget that's in your pocket, not the budget that's reality. And I go, okay, well, let's talk about that. What can we do? And we figure it out. And I expect people to do that same thing with me. People come in all the time, and they come in and their budget is the amount of money they have in their pocket. And that's based in no reality whatsoever. And I just have to say, here's what we charge for this. And, this is how we make our living. And again, I'm not going to go out this afternoon and buy a Rolls Royce because of this job. But, this is just definitely what it's worth in time, energy, and effort to make this sign.
And one last question. So what does retirement look like to you? What's that vision in your head?
It's a good one.
What's the vision? Paint the picture.
Well, the kids probably hopefully they got one more year in high school, and hopefully college is in their future. You never know. But retirement for me and for my wife probably has about 5 more years before she can retire or is going to retire. But it's a luxury RV and dropping the kids off and gone.
Where you gonna drop them off at?
School,
somewhere.
The military, the grandparents. I mean, they'll be of age to start taking care of themselves. I'm not just talking about leaving them. Yeah. But RV, sleeps. Well, it feeds 6. It is comfortable for 4, but it only sleeps 2. It only sleeps 2. So, and just traveling and seeing parts of this country that we haven't seen yet. And we may only go 5 or 10 miles a day because I don't like to drive and she don't like to drive long distances, but just about being out there and seeing different parts of the world. Maybe we'll work from the RV. I don't know. But right now, that's the plan. And I ain't talking about no camper. I'm talking about luxury.
RV.
Right. I'm talking about luxury, a home on wheels. So to me, I think right now that's what retirement looks like. And then when we go to Europe or somewhere, because I know that's where she wants to go, we just park at a Jaw House.
Well, we really appreciate you having us out. We really appreciate your time and being here. We've had a blast getting to know you on a personal level, and also how you run your establishment here, this immaculate establishment at Fast Signs in DC. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.